Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would sit down and do a video for you guys and gals. Get a sip of water, get my radio voice going. Alright, I feel like I need to address this again because it seems like a lot of people didn't understand what's going on with me going over to 99% plant-based as opposed to 85 to 90%, which is what I did the majority of last year. Alright. During my whole lean bulk, that's what I did. I ate almost entirely whole foods, plants, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, all that stuff. And I just got my protein from animal sources, and that was maybe 100 to 150 grams of lean animal protein a day. I did really well on it. Went back over to eating more animal products and noticed a lot of my inflammation got worse. So I shifted back over and it improved a lot. Inflammation meaning, for those who are unaware, I have pretty severe psoriasis, and I also have bilateral Meniere's disease, both of which have an autoimmune component. And these are things I've been very open with my channel and my followers since day one, right? I was telling you guys about this 12 years ago. This is nothing new as far as those issues go. I've always been very consistent with explaining I have these problems. And I've never deviated from that because they are ongoing issues. So that is one reason I did that. And I think people have these ideas that they're like, oh, you're never going to eat animal products. I never said that. And I'm not even saying that me transitioning to 99%, and I say 99% because I think twice I've had a very small, since I started doing this, had a very small amount of animal products. I'm pretty sure there was some croissants I ate at a bro's house, and then I had a little bit of chicken breast the other day, and that's pretty much been it. But I mean, people need to realize this is an experiment, and I told you guys that from day one, and it is based upon evidence. Like this is an evidence-based approach. The vast majority of medical experts, nutrition researchers all say that, look, a whole foods, plant-based approach is ideal. Okay, this is universally agreed upon. This is not a strange concept. This is not even considered extreme. Only time it would be more extreme is when you go vegan, which is you have an ethical issue and you will not touch anything, like ever, that you see it as a sin. And that's not the case. So in the case of that, I was largely plant-based already for a while, okay? I just happened to eat lean animal proteins, and that was usually fat-free dairy or chicken breast, or very, very lean cuts of steak sometimes. But for the most part, it was, 80 to 90% plant-based every day. And that's pretty much what I'm still doing. It's just that I'm substituting a lot of my protein sources now for plant-based. And again, showing that, look, the research says this is healthy, it's viable, it's perfectly fine. The bioavailability is fine. It falls within still the ideal numbers for what we would want for muscle growth. And my lifting hasn't suffered, right? Lifting hasn't suffered. Biggest problem's been the appetite. I am a little hungrier, I've noticed. But I've been actually getting a little stronger on my training in the gym, right? My rep work and stuff is slowly going up. I'm having good workouts. So there's no issues there. So when I'm doing this, though, again, people need to understand this is an experiment to see how it affects my health. If my autoimmune issues improve slightly more by removing more of the animal products. This is not an ethical thing. It is not a permanent, I'll never take a cheat day or never eat another slice of pizza, or that I'll never go back to lean animal protein for periods of time. That's not what it is, because that is still a whole foods plant-based diet. If most of the food that you're eating, I'm going to say anything over 80% of the food that you eat on a daily basis is whole foods plant-based. Okay, that's a whole food plant-based diet. And again, the experts would agree. So again, I'm not taking some ethical position. This is a health position. All right, so I want to be clear on that. And it's not a strict moral thing. So when people say, well, you're going to entirely avoid all animal products, that's veganism. But I'm not entirely avoiding animal products. And even me doing all plant-based protein for a while may not even be a permanent thing. If I don't see any difference, if I see no improvement whatsoever, no difference, I might work a little bit of lean animal proteins back in. Okay, so it's again, it's an experiment. based upon the scientific evidence, the evidence that we have, what we know. And thus far, it's going pretty good. I think it's going reasonable. Again, my autoimmune stuff is still not completely controlled. I feel like it's doing well, but I'm going to assess it over time and see what happens. And I might experiment back and forth a little and add a little bit of animal protein back in and compare the two. But as far as I'm concerned, I think, and I've been saying this a long time, really, if you guys look at what I was eating 6 months ago, 9 months ago, or even go back to even my lean bulk, when I benched at the 365 pause bench and all that, right? You guys saw what I was eating. It was mostly plant-based, mostly whole foods. So that's what I'm doing. And so largely what a lot of it is saying, look, I don't want saturated fat in my diet. Just like I'm saying, I don't want refined sugars in my diet. And by and large, those are our big two issues, right? If you look at the bulk of the scientific literature, barring trans fats, which are still only found in fatty animals, they can't sell them in other stuff, saturated fat, top of the list. And anyone who's saying, oh, no, that's not shown, it is. You're just not looking at the data. You're not looking at the metabolic ward studies if you think that that's not an issue. And then right behind it, number 2, refined fructose. I am trying to minimize those in my diet. And it doesn't mean I'll never take a cheat day that has both. But I'm minimizing them and trying to focus on eating whole plants. Right, the foundation of my diet is high fiber, tons of fruits and vegetables, lots of phytonutrients, okay? Because that is what the overwhelming scientific consensus shows. And that's not trusting just an expert opinion. That is looking at the bulk of the data, okay? Again, that is not even a point of controversy. And people try to bring politics and other stuff into it. Stop. It's not a political issue. Go look at all the data yourself. And that's it. This is a health position. And again, I want to be clear. It is not like, let me put it this way. If next week, if tomorrow morning, even though I don't even have the food here to do it, I started adding a little Mootopia back in or chicken breast, I've not deviated from what I've said. I'm not going to do it, but the point is that's not a deviation. It is still whole foods plant-based diet. Just I'm choosing to go from 85 to 90% up to about 99% plants. That's it. I want to see how it impacts my health. If I see further health benefits from it. It's a hypothesis that I'm using myself to see how my body personally responds. Because I did so well on the 85 to 90% range. I did so well on it in terms of performance, my different issues being controlled really well, that I want to see if I can optimize that any further. And that's it. But any way it breaks down, I am probably going to stay on something that's mostly whole foods, plant-based indefinitely, because that is what the majority of medical doctors, nutrition researchers, registered dietitians show based upon the research and the data is healthiest. Okay, that's it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.